Hello everyone, I am Paul McGuire Grimes. Daphne du Maurier's classic novel Rebecca is back to haunt audiences thanks to a new adaptation starring Lily James and Armie Hammer. It's now streaming on Netflix and I want to talk about it. This is Paul's trip to the movies. Lily James stars as the new Mrs. De Winter. You'll note that we're never told her first name. She accepts a job in Monte Carlo only to quickly fall in love with the dashing Max De Winter played by Armie Hammer. She moves into his estate at Manderley only to realize that the legacy of his recently deceased wife Rebecca still lingers. It also stars Ann Dowd and Kristen Scott Thomas. This new adaptation is directed by Ben Wheatley, who previously worked with Armie Hammer in Free Fire. Now, this version should be thought of as an adaptation of the novel and not a remake of the Alfred Hitchcock classic from 1940 starring Joan Fontaine and Laurence Olivier. Now, it's been many years since I've seen Hitchcock's take, but even I had a hard time not mentally picturing what he did with this material, as Wheatley's version was losing steam and missing that haunting mystery that lingered underneath the surface. Now, let's back up a bit. The film starts off in the gorgeous Monte Carlo. It looks stunning with its picturesque getaway, with lush landscapes and beautiful costumes. Wheatley and his screenwriting team rush through the torrid love affair of Max De Winter and his new wife. I never felt enough time was spent settling into this to feel the romance or even sense any chemistry between Lily James and Armie Hammer. We then get to their arrival at Manderley, where Rebecca's aura is the only thing that seems to be at play. And yes, that's the main focus at hand, but there's so many questions and details at play that the nuance is never really explored. Offering the only subtlety is Kristen Scott Thomas as the infamous Mrs. Danvers. She's icy from the beginning, always lurking around every corner, keeping a constant eye on the new Mrs. De Winter. It's the polar opposite in terms of character and acting choices than Ann Dowd as the lavish and cackling Mrs. Von Hopper, the woman that Mrs. De Winter was hired to work for. Now, these veteran actors stand out from our leads, Lily James and Armie Hammer. Both are fine in their roles, with James having the innocence and youth to feel overwhelmed by what's at stake at Manderley. Hammer has those classic good looks and a stern presence as Max De Winter. Now, maybe we weren't supposed to buy into them as a couple and in turn question his motives, but I needed something more from them. Rebecca may work for those coming in with no context, but I couldn't help but think that this was all style, with very little substance. There's not enough meat on its bones, despite it trying to cover a lot of ground that's laid out in the book. I'm giving Rebecca 2 out of 5 ticket stubs. If you like my review today, click subscribe on my YouTube channel to get some other reviews, some interviews, my appearances on Twin Cities Live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Paul's Movie Trip. Have you watched Rebecca? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And then go to my website, paulstriptothemovies.com, for even more reviews. Thank you so much for watching my review of Rebecca. It's now streaming on Netflix. This is Paul's Trip to the Movies.